Welcome to Nature Nurture Hub. When you learn to care for an orchid, you're not just growing a flower, you're learning patience, beauty, and balance in its purest form. Orchids are nature's whisper of grace, symbols of beauty, love, and elegance. Across the United States, these captivating flowers have found their way into homes, offices, and greenhouses, not just as decor, but as living works of art. But despite their stunning appearance, many beginners believe orchids are delicate, mysterious, and difficult to grow. The truth? Orchids thrive beautifully once you understand their rhythm, their light, water, temperature, and tender needs. Whether you're growing Phalaenopsis, moth orchids, dendrobiums, or cattleyas, success lies in learning their natural language. Let's begin by understanding what orchids really want. These plants are epiphytes, meaning in their native tropical habitats, they cling to trees, not soil. This tells you one thing instantly. Orchids don't like wet feet. Their roots need air as much as moisture. To replicate that at home, choose a well-draining potting mix, bark chips, perlite, and a bit of sphagnum moss. Avoid compact soil at all costs. The roots must breathe. When you first pot your orchid, imagine it as mounting it onto a perch in the forest. The roots must feel free and supported, not buried. Light is the soul of your orchid's growth. In the USA, most homes get bright but filtered light near east or south-facing windows. Orchids love that. If your plant gets too much direct sunlight, you'll see yellowish leaves. That's a sign of sunburn. Too little light, and you'll notice dark, limp leaves with no blooms. The goal is bright, indirect light. Think of a gentle glow that keeps your orchid warm without harshness. If you're in cooler regions like Washington or Michigan, consider supplemental LED grow lights during winter. About 12 to 14 hours of gentle light a day will keep your orchid thriving year-round. Temperature, on the other hand, determines its comfort zone. Most orchids flourish between 65 degrees Fahrenheit to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius during the day, and a gentle drop of about 10 degrees Fahrenheit at night helps trigger blooming. Never expose your orchid to cold drafts or hot air vents. The shock will disrupt its growth and delay blooming. If you live in warmer states like Florida or Texas, ensure your orchid gets enough ventilation. Stagnant air encourages mold or fungal growth. A small fan nearby can create the perfect breeze your plant would experience in nature. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest secrets to success: watering. Most new growers accidentally love their orchids to death with too much water. Here's the golden rule: less is more. Always let the potting medium dry slightly before watering again. Typically, once every 5 to 7 days works perfectly in most US climates, but adjust for humidity and temperature. Insert your finger about an inch into the bark. If it feels dry, water gently until it drains out. Avoid letting your orchid sit in water. Transparent pots can help you see root color. Green roots mean hydrated. Silvery grey means it's time to water. When watering, use room temperature water, and if possible, rainwater or distilled water works best. Tap water in some areas contains too many minerals and fluoride, which can burn roots over time. Early morning watering is ideal, giving your plant time to dry before nightfall and preventing root rot. Imagine this as your orchid's daily routine: wake, hydrate, bask, rest. Healthy roots are the heartbeat of your orchid. Bright green, plump roots are a good sign. If you see mushy, brown, or foul-smelling roots, it's time for repotting. Always trim damaged roots with sterilized scissors. Use fresh bark and gently nest the plant back. Avoid packing it too tight. Orchids like to hold on, not suffocate. Feeding your orchid is like tuning an instrument. Too little and it won't play. Too much and it breaks the rhythm. Fertilize every 2 weeks during active growth using a balanced 20-20-20 orchid fertilizer, diluted to half strength. Remember the saying, weekly, weekly. When your orchid rests, usually after blooming, reduce feeding to once a month. Some growers love using organic options like seaweed extract or fish emulsion. These can be wonderful boosters, but use sparingly. Pruning is another beautiful part of care. Once your orchid's blooms fade, trim the flower spike just above a node to encourage a possible rebloom. If the spike turns brown, cut it down completely to allow energy for new growth. Don't rush this process. Orchids work on their own time. Now, let's address common orchid problems that frustrate beginners but are easily solved. Drooping leaves, probably overwatering or too little light. Wrinkled leaves, dehydration or salt buildup. Flush your pot monthly with clean water. No blooms for months. Your orchid might need a light or temperature adjustment. Sometimes, a brief dip to cooler night temperatures triggers blooming. Spots on leaves? Use neem oil spray to treat fungal or bacterial infections. Humidity plays a big role too. Orchids adore 50% to 70% humidity. You can recreate that easily by placing a tray of pebbles and water under the pot without submerging roots. Misting lightly every few days helps, especially in dry climates. When it comes to repotting, do it every 1.5 to 2 years, ideally after blooming. Old bark breaks down and restricts air circulation, leading to unhealthy roots. Use a fresh, chunky medium and slightly larger pot if needed. If you ever feel your orchid looks tired or lifeless, remember, it's not dying, it's resting. Orchids cycle through active growth, blooming, and rest. When leaves are strong and roots are firm, your orchid is just preparing for another show of elegance. Many US growers from California to New York keep orchids on bright kitchen counters or hanging planters where filtered light and gentle humidity create perfect mini jungles. It's not about location. It's about environment consistency. Even in apartments, orchids can thrive near bright windows with care and rhythm. The joy of orchid growing is patience rewarded with grace. Every bloom tells you that you're doing something right. Each petal is proof that care and consistency turn simplicity into artistry. When your first bloom opens, it feels like nature's applause. So, as you embark on your journey, remember, orchids are teachers of balance. Too much love, they drown. Too little care, they fade. Find the middle ground, and your orchid will reward you endlessly. Grow with Nature Nurture Hub. And subscribe to our YouTube channel for more seasonal plant care, blooming tips, and nature stories designed just for beginner gardeners across the USA.